The market in 2026 is strange right now. Prices are crashing on some tiny stops, yet analyst targets show insane upside. Most people will ignore these names because they look dead. Today, we're going to slow down and actually understand 4 beaten down stocks under 10 cents that could either go to zero or deliver life-changing returns. We'll talk about what each company does, why Wall Street still cares, and what risks you're really taking. No hype, no blind lotto tickets. Just clear thinking so you can decide for yourself. If you're serious about building wealth over time, hit subscribe and tap like. This content is for education only and is not financial advice. Always do your own research before investing. Let's get into the first stock. First up is Tengrushan, ticker TIRX, trading around 3 cents. On the surface, this looks like a failed penny stock. The price crashed from over $10 in the last year down to fractions of a dollar. But remember, behind every ticker, there is a real business. Tianrulisheng is an insurance broker. They don't actually insure people. They sit in the middle between customers and insurance companies. They help individuals and institutions in China and the US get property, casualty, life, and health insurance. Think auto policies, commercial property, liability, accident coverage, plus individual and group life. As a business model, insurance brokerage can be pretty attractive. Brokers are asset light. They don't hold big reserves like insurance carriers. They earn commissions on premiums. If they build relationships and a solid reputation, the revenue can be recurring and predictable. The company started in 2010 and is based in Beijing. So we have a 14-year operating history, not some overnight SPAC. Now, the hard data we have is limited, but a few numbers stand out. Market cap is about $2.26 million. That is tiny. The 52-week range is from 2 cents to $10.75. That is extreme volatility. The average volume is over 75 million shares, so the stock trades a lot, even at this low price. There is also a consensus analyst rating of sell. That means the professionals who cover it are negative. When you combine a sell rating with a microcap Chinese broker and a wild price range, you know risk is high. So how do we think about valuation here? Price is what you pay. Value is what you get. At 3 cents, the market is saying this company is worth almost nothing. Either the business is actually close to worthless or the market is throwing it away. Without good data on revenue, earnings, and cash flow, you can't build a clear valuation model. So this name sits more in the speculative bucket. The only real valuation disconnect argument would be if you believe the business has stable commission income and the market is overreacting to country risk, delisting risk, or past dilution. What could be a catalyst? For a stock like TIRX, catalysts are usually things like an uplisting event, a buyout, a move to improve compliance, or a clear turnaround in reported financials. Another possible trigger would be regulatory changes that favor smaller brokers in China or the US. But you should assume the opposite first: more dilution, more volatility, and a real chance of permanent loss. Here's the mindset I'd use. If you buy TRX, you are not investing like Warren Buffett. You are taking a punt that the market has overshot on fear. Only consider tiny position sizes and treat it as speculation, not a core holding. Next, let's look at stock number 2, SANW Seed, ticker SANW, also around 3 cents. This is a totally different business. SANW Seed breeds, produces, and sells seeds, mainly stevia and alfalfa. The company started in 1980 and is based in Longmont, Colorado. So you have more than 4 decades in agriculture. This is not a brand new biotech. It's an old school farm-related company that tried to innovate. Stevia is a natural sweetener. Alfalfa is a key forage crop used to feed livestock. If you think about long-term demand, people keep eating and animals keep needing feed. So the end markets are real and stable. The question is execution and balance sheet strength. The hard numbers we have are dramatic. Market cap is only $236,000. That is microscopic for a business with real operations. Volume today was 434 shares versus an average of about 6,187. So liquidity is thin. The stock trades at 3 cents and barely moves during the day. But here's the shocker, analysts still have a consensus buy rating with a price target of $25. On paper, that is over 80,000% upside from today's price. We need to be careful here. A giant upside target does not mean it will happen. Often when a stock collapses this badly, analysts are slow to update models. Their old price targets stay in the system even when the company's situation has changed. So don't just look at that $25 target and dream. You need to ask, is the company still listed, still filing reports, and still operating as a going concern? From a business owner view, seed companies can build value through intellectual property. If SANW owns strong genetics or exclusive varieties of alfalfa or stevia, that can be valuable to larger agriculture players. In a best-case scenario, a small seed company gets bought out or signs licensing deals. In a worst-case scenario, they drown in debt or dilution and the equity gets wiped. We don't have recent revenue or earnings data here, so we can't talk about margins or free cash flow. That's a red flag by itself. When information is thin, your risk goes up. The valuation logic, again, is simple. The market is saying this business is almost worthless. The analyst models say it should be worth a lot more. The truth is likely somewhere in the middle or tilted toward the market's view, not the target price. The possible catalyst, a strategic investment from a bigger ag player, a sale of part of the business, successful restructuring, or evidence that they can stabilize operations and reduce losses. Also, any rise in demand for stevia-based natural sweeteners could help if they are still a meaningful player. Treat SANW as a high-risk turnaround. If you are patient and the business survives, the upside can be big. But this is not a widows and orphans stock. Again, size your position accordingly. Our third name is Charisma Therapeutics, ticker CARM, trading around 3 cents. Charisma is a clinical stage cell therapy company focused on immunotherapy. In plain English, they're trying to train the body's own cells to fight cancer and other serious diseases. Charisma works on CARM therapies. You may have heard of CAR-T, which uses modified T cells to attack cancer. CARM focuses on macrophages and monocytes, which are immune cells that can move into solid tumors. Their lead product, CT88, is a CAR macrophage in phase 1 trials for solid tumors. Another product, CT0525, is a CAR monocyte also in phase 1 for solid tumors. They also have CT1119, a mesothelin-targeted CAR monocyte that is still preclinical. This targets tumors like lung cancer, mesothelioma, pancreatic and ovarian cancers. They're also working on in vivo CARM therapies with Moderna, the same Moderna behind the mRNA COVID vaccines. That collaboration is interesting. It tells you this is not just some random lab. A big partner is willing to work with them. Beyond cancer, they're looking at fibrosis and other immune and inflammatory diseases. The key data, market cap of about $1.43 million, PAE ratio around 0.05. But that's not very meaningful for a clinical stage biotech that likely has no steady earnings yet. The stock is at 3 cents, but analysts rate it a moderate buy and have a consensus price target of $1. That implies over 2,800% upside on paper. Volume is about 110,000 shares per day. From a valuation angle, the disconnect is clear. The market is treating CARM like a broken stock. Analysts are modeling a future where at least some of their pipeline delivers value. The right way to think about this is probabilistic. What is the chance that a phase 1 or phase 2 program becomes an approved drug or a big partnership deal? Very low, but not zero. Biotech investors spread bets across many names for that reason. Catalysts to watch: clinical trial readouts for CT886 and 586, on preclinical progress for CTAA119, and any news from the Moderna collaboration. A single strong data release can re-rate the stock overnight. A bad safety signal can do the opposite. This is pure high-risk, high-reward territory. If you don't understand trial phases, FDA timelines, and dilution risk, treat this as speculation, not an investment. Never go all in on a clinical stage biotech, no matter how exciting the science sounds. Our fourth stock is IOBT, ticker IOBT, currently trading around 5 cents. IOBT is also a clinical stage biopharma company. They develop immune-modulating cancer vaccines using what they call their T-Win platform. Their main product candidate is IO102. It is designed to target two immunosuppressive mechanisms, IDO and PD-L1. In simple terms, tumors use these pathways to hide from the immune system. IO102, IO103 aims to block that and let your immune cells attack the cancer. This lead candidate is already in a phase 3 trial for melanoma. That's a late-stage study. They also have it in phase 2 trials for lung, head and neck, bladder, and melanoma again. So this is not early. Blue sky research. It's deeper into the pipeline. They also have IO128, which targets arginase 1. That's another mechanism tumors use to suppress immune response. The company was founded in 2014 and is based in Copenhagen, Denmark, so we have about a decade of work behind these programs. Now the numbers, market cap is about $3.45 million. Analyst consensus rating is reduce, which is a mild sell, yet the consensus price target is $3.5, implying over 7,000% upside from 5 cents. The 50-day price range runs from 3 cents to 38 cents. So this stock has already swung more than 10 times in the short term. Average volume is around 9 million shares, which is high turnover for such a small market cap. Let's look at this with a clear head. A phase 3 oncology asset inside a $3.45 million company is unusual. Either the market believes the trial will fail, the company will run out of cash, or heavy dilution is coming. Or the market is missing something. Valuing clinical assets is hard because you need to estimate peak sales, probability of success, and time to market. The valuation disconnect is obvious on paper. A late-stage melanoma program that actually works is usually worth far more than a few $1,000,000. That's why the price target sits far above the current price. But analysts also say reduce, which tells you they worry about risk, maybe from funding needs or competition from existing immunotherapies. Possible catalysts here are very direct. Phase 3 melanoma trial results. If IO102 trial shows strong survival benefit and good safety, this stock can re-rate hard. If the data is weak, the downside is brutal. There are also potential interim updates from the phase 2 trials in lung or head and neck cancers. On the finance side, any major partnership, equity raise or debt deal changes the runway. For a retail investor, biotech might be the most explosive of the four because it has a late-stage asset. That also makes it very dangerous. If you take a position, size it like an option, not like a blue chip. You are betting on trial outcomes and management's ability to survive long enough to report them. Let's zoom out and talk philosophy for a moment. The key is to know which bucket each stock sits in. Core holdings are strong businesses with clear cash flows and durable advantages. Speculative holdings are stories, turnarounds, or early-stage science. Most of your capital should sit in the first bucket. A small slice can go into experimental names like TIRX, SANW, CARM, and IOBT if you know the risks. If you found this breakdown helpful, hit subscribe and tap like, so more serious investors can find it. Drop a comment with a stock you think has the best risk-reward out of these four, or share another tiny name you want me to review. Invest wisely, stay focused on what matters, and I'll see you in the next one.